Yet another criticism, indictment, whatever, against Donald Trump. And yet from this side of the pond, all that happens is his popularity goes through the roof because he stands up and says, this is the establishment stopping me giving you, the American people, what you so deserve and want.
Exactly. The ruling out of Colorado is just a bunch of rubbish, to be honest with you. It is all a political game to take out the opponent to Joe Biden, another desperate attempt. And while Donald Trump on the campaign trail continues to make the case that the judicial branch, the justice system is only targeting him, is going after him because he's a political opponent, it's days like today and ruling like what we're seeing coming out of Colorado that only gives more credibility to what Donald Trump is saying, hence why you see his popularity continue to rise.
It's really interesting for me as well, Sarah and Scottie, because, I mean, there's been some criticism of Biden, certainly Hunter Biden, the laptops, the drugs, the sort of thing. It doesn't seem to get as much clarity. And by the way, for anybody tuning in, I'm not sticking up for Donald Trump. I'm sure he's absolutely flawed, but I'm going to make the point that I made, and I'd love to know from your point of view, Scottie. Many Americans, 18 million of them who voted for him, will tell you that economically it was much better under Donald Trump than it's ever been under the Democrats. I don't know. I don't live there.
Absolutely, especially if you go to the grocery store. You know, elections in America, and I'm sure it's the same thing across the pond, are won in the egg, milk, and bread aisle, as well as the cost of gas when you fill up your car. And right now, it is very tough when you have inflation at the highest it's ever been in the last 25 years. Mortgage rates are hard to get. Credit card spending is high, not just because of the holidays. It is not a good time. It's very unstable here, America, economically. And that alone is probably why so many are looking at it to go back to where it was just 4 years ago. But maybe Hunter Biden might try possibly even getting a conviction and actually getting sentenced. Maybe that might help Joe Biden's popularity. I highly doubt it because unfortunately we have seen two tiers of a justice system here in the United States in comparison to the prior president's family and the current president's family. I mean, even today, Hunter Biden himself was seen getting off the helicopter at Camp David while he is just yesterday defied a subpoena by the United States Congress, just no regards whatsoever to the law. So when you have issues like this happening in Colorado, you see that it is what it is. It's going to be appealed all the way up to the Supreme Court, as it should be, where it will probably be thrown out. And I think that people need to understand that this is being done by a 501c3 group out of Washington, D.C., who is literally just going around the United States just trying to create kind of like, I call it a cavity for the Trump campaign that they're going to have to focus on. It's going to be a pain, and it's going to take away their time and their money, attention from what is most important, which is getting on the campaign trail. I don't think there's a single Democrat who actually believes, and if they do, that this is actually going to stick, because when you actually look at the rule of the law in the United States Constitution, it has nothing to do with exactly they're saying right now. And Donald Trump has yet to even be found guilty of actually encouraging the insurrection.
Can we talk about that speech last night, though, Scottie, on the campaign trail in Iowa, and his words, they are poisoning the blood of our country. That's what they have done. It has been compared to Nazi rhetoric. It has been compared to that before. He then says he's never read Mein Kampf. Are you comfortable with the kind of language that he's using?
Well, let me point out that's gaslighting at its peak right now to say that, because if you're looking at Donald Trump and you're saying he's anti-immigration, you're looking at a man who doesn't love his wife, who married an immigrant, who just this past week stood up in front of the group and helped swear in a large group of new United States citizens from all over the world. You can't look at her passionate speech.
But the wording he used was they are poisoning the blood of our country.
Specifically, and he even points it out, he was talking about the illegals that are coming out of the country. And if you're looking at right now, you have 6.2 million illegals that have crossed over the United States. The United States, just like the UK, is having a very serious issue right now with the illegals who are coming into this country. I mean, you're looking at 2.4 were apprehended in 2023 alone. But here's the scary part. 12,267 of them are actually criminal non-citizens that have been caught. Those are the ones that we know are committing crimes in 2023 in the United States. Look, yes, that is very dangerous to our communities. It's expensive, but more importantly, it's causing problems here within the United States. More importantly, you're actually looking at 169 were on the terrorist watch list in 2023
Scottie,
alone. So there are some major issues, and you might not like the term that he used, but he was referring to illegal immigrants alone.
Listen, there are many people in this country from this side of the pond who find him abhorrent. There's many other people who right now would hope that somebody could speak as honestly about the issues we have. Here's a question for you. I spoke to the gentleman in the last hour and said the same. for a man facing indictments left, right and centre, for a man who stalked out the White House 3 years ago, when we think back to the insurrection, when we think about Colorado, when we think about everything that's been thrown at them, when we think about the Democrats' plan that hasn't come off because Kamala Harris is the most unpopular politician in the world, let me ask you this. Can Donald Trump genuinely be the next American president? Yes or no?
100% yes. And I think the American people are going to continue to support it, and support's going to continue to grow in key states. For the first time, we're seeing Pennsylvania is even looking like that they're going to go red, because what is happening economically in Pennsylvania and the day-to-day lives of Americans are not better today than they were 3 years ago when Joe Biden was sworn in. And that's what people are going to remember when they go to the polls. Everything else, if there was anything that was going to
wrap,
stick,
Scottie. Listen, don't think me